Ni hao, Wijal Stephanie. Yeah, so I've been thinking about disconnections today, and there's been a lot of things happening on the language learning community in YouTube that has really sparked this. So I'm going to start with that. So language learning in the classroom, I have one, two, three, I can't see because it's very bright and sunny out today, but there's three disconnections that I've been thinking about. One is that language that's taught in the classroom is oftentimes not what's actually used. When you're talking about speaking, it's either too formal in the classroom and it's much less formal outside, or it's too formal. Actually, that's it. That's the biggest problem. There's other things like the vocabulary can be outdated if the source material from the textbooks is old, etc., etc. There's a lot of issues with that. A lot of language teachers, and I know mostly about teaching English, but I know a lot of folks don't teach things like dropped sounds and blended sounds and natural language and intonation and things, and you have to teach those. And I'm sure there are nuances within other languages that need to be taught before the person reaches a high level, because you need to get those things on early on. The second thing is writing. Man, oh man, the disconnect again in the classroom versus non-classroom setting of writing. You need to talk about genres. You need to talk about formality / register, depending on the camp that you're in. It's called different things. All of these things need to be talked about, to be analyzed, and to be dissected. And there's some folks starting to do that on YouTube, and I might join in on that as soon as I gather my thoughts some more. The third thing is my own personal disconnect between the confusion, the entire reason why I started this channel is how is it that I can teach a language, or at least guide people through a language, but I can't teach my own, or even I can't even learn in a language classroom with somebody else as an experienced teacher. So these disconnects bug me. They've always bugged me. This is kind of at the heart of my fascination with language and frustration with my own lack of skills in language. And I think I'm starting to break down the number three, my own personal issues with language learning. And I'll talk about those pillars in a different video. I've already mentioned one of them, and I think I've identified a second one, but you know, that's another video. So as I was writing these down, because these 5-minute videos make me get much more organized than normal, I began to think, and I've thought this before, but I really think about it now, is it better for us to have a language, how did I write it? A self-study center for languages, where people go in and learn languages, and they can talk to people who are learning different levels of that language, or they can talk to people learning other languages. So it's kind of like a polyglot or a language learning geekery space. I don't know, I don't think that would be the technical term or the name of the center, but would it be better to have that kind of learning space where you can touch bases with other people who are learning, instead of a language classroom where language is supposedly explicitly taught and most oftentimes not taught? Would that be a better scenario? Does that exist somewhere? I'm probably not the first person to think about this. There's definitely language groups, like there's a language mix in Shanghai, which is exactly that, but it's more of like a social meetup from what I hear. I don't feel like I have enough language at my disposal to go yet, so, and speaking's not my strong point, so I'm gonna wait a little while, but I've heard it's a really, really good experience, and it's people from all different language backgrounds, with learning all different languages, and they're just talking to each other. So what if there was more of like a self-study environment that had the same kind of folks, but where you all kind of study together, but possibly different things, but then you could be resources for each other? Does that exist? Should that exist? I'm kind of talking out my butt right now, because I don't know where to even go with this, if this does need to exist, or all that kind of good stuff. I'm kind of hoping somebody has already done it, and I can kind of get in on helping with that, because I'm not really an entrepreneur. I am passionate about language, but I suck at languages. And I want that to end, and I want to help it to end for a lot of people who struggle like I struggle with getting into a language other than the one that they grew up with. So your thoughts are greatly appreciated, and yeah, if you want to join in on this, if it doesn't exist and we can create it, leave your comment down below. We'll see what we can do. Okay, Satian.